This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And Doc, as you know, one of our fine partners at the DSP network is The Athletic. And The Athletic Detroit specifically is premium coverage for passionate, hugely passionate Detroit sports fans. And listeners of this very episode of Tiger Talk with Chirco and Company can get 30% off. Yes, 30% off the first year of an annual subscription to The Athletic by visiting today, theathletic.com/DSP. And welcome to the latest, the freshest edition of Tiger Talk with Chirco and Company, post-Labor Day edition of the podcast. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Chirco, I like to say. And alongside me, as usual, across the table in the Sterling Heights studio is the Doc from Doc and Jack, John Charles McElroon. John, how are you doing?
Vito, welcome to the fall. We are now here. Summer is officially over. The kids are back to school.
Unofficially. Don't kill me yet with that, okay?
Labor Day was awesome for me. I'm looking forward to this weekend. This podcast is going to set up awesome. Our relationship with the USPBL has been great. We had a chance to have DSP Appreciation Day at Jimmy John's Field. This weekend is the championship weekend, and we're lucky on this podcast to have Chris Newell, head coach of
the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers.
They are the number one seed going into championship weekend, and it's going to be fun. They got the playoffs. So if you want to go out to Jimmy John's Field, check out USPBL.com. Get yourself in Jimmy John's Field. Enjoy the action. It's going to be fun times. We'll be out there for the championship game on Sunday of this week, and I look forward to talking to Chris Newell. Second half of the podcast, we'll look at the Detroit Tigers and their series versus the New York Yankees. Really interesting stuff. I took the kids to Frankenmuth, and so during that four-game series, you had everything. You had the Tigers kind of doing some things, coming back. You had the Yankees doing some things, exposing the bullpen again. Coming away with a split is unbelievable. I want to get your sense of Victor Reyes and this whole Rule 5 situation. Really interesting to read about that. The call-ups, a guy that you had talked about, maybe not in glowing terms, Lugo came up.
Yeah, he did all right, yeah.
Exactly, so jam-packed episode as always, but let's start this podcast off talking USPBL. Let's get Chris Newell on the phone.
Let's do it. And it is Chris Newell, the manager of the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers in the USPBL. Chris, long time no talk to you. How have you been?
I've been outstanding, buddy. How are you?
Very good. Happy post-Labor Day once again, as I said to you before we started recording this interview. And I read 3 straight regular season United Shore Professional Baseball League titles for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers now. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Well, regular season titles.
Yeah, regular season, yes.
And yeah, it is. It was a goal, certainly a goal that we have. I mean, it's a culmination of your entire season's worth of work. And so super proud of that. And to do it in all 3 years that the league's been in existence is certainly something I'm very proud of. But, you know, we still have one more game left. That's the big one. And being able to be the first team to repeat would really mean a lot.
Yeah, going for back-to-back postseason league championships, but 3 regular season titles in a row. And what does that mean to your team, by the way? I know it's not the same as winning a championship at the end of the season as you did last year as the defending champs in the USPBL, but still a regular season title and 3 in a row of those for your Beavers. What does that mean to your team?
That means a lot to them. They the last year, you know, I had some guys on the team last year and or that were this year on the team this year, but were obviously with us last year. And they knew that we had won the regular season the year before. But they also knew that we had lost in the championship round. So for them to keep that trend going, if you will, by winning the league title, you know, the regular season back to back was important to them. And then for them to accomplish the ultimate goal, which is win the championship, was obviously a job well done on their part. But now those guys that were there last year that kept that trend going, they're here this year, and they've taught the new guys well, and they really taught the guys how to go about their business. You know, we've got some rookies in that clubhouse that, you know, you would have thought that they've already played 3 or 4 years in pro ball already. So, and that's a testament to the leaders that I had and the rest of the guys on the team. So it's huge. It's huge for them. And let's be honest, they're winners. That's why they're at this level. Winning is important to them. They realize that we are all products of our preparation, and these guys have prepared day in and day out. And yes, they're super happy and excited and proud of what they've accomplished up to this point, but they do realize that the big one is still left waiting for us next Sunday.
And preparation is the key to success. I mean, in any profession, any sport. Being defending champs, though, in the United Shore Professional Baseball League, do you feel like you and your team have had targets on your respective backs all season long, and that there's been added pressure to win and to repeat as champs?
I don't think there's any question about it. We've realized that we've had that little bullseye on our back, and to be honest with you, we have since that first year. We set a pretty high precedent after that first year, and I think a lot of people saw the excitement that was around our team and the buzz that was floating around, and everybody wants to experience that, and our guys haven't been willing to relinquish that yet. And we're embarking on a second straight league title, which no team has repeated yet. So for our guys to be the first and to set that legacy, even more so than what they already have, it's big.
Now, Chris, USPBL founder and Commissioner Andy Appleby came out and said, our championship weekend is such a wonderful way to cap off our season each year. If people knew what I knew about these players and their stories, they would hang on every pitch. It's so emotional and a fantastic league to be a part of. Is there a player or two that you've gravitated towards or heard a significant story about that you're willing to share on our podcast today?
Well, there's everybody's got a story, and everybody's got a unique story, and how they got to where they are. And I think going back to Andy, and I've been on record, I'll say this until the day I die, Andy has hit a grand slam with his league, and it really is second to none. And I've been to some other independent minor league stadiums and what have you lately, and over the last couple of years. And although those clubs do a real good job, but if they want to do a great job and they want to do it right, I think they need to spend a weekend at Jimmy John's Field to see how everything is done. I mean, it's electric. But as far as to answer your question regarding some of my players, you get a couple guys that come to mind. For example, Brian Heldman. I signed him out of winter ball. He's probably, he is without a doubt, my best reliever. And the success story, and I've always said, how you deal with failure is ultimately how you're going to be successful. And in Brian's situation, for lack of a better term, he was absolutely pathetic last year. And to be honest with you, him and I talk about this, we laugh about this. He was useless. I brought him in and he just could not get things going. He was not very reliable, and he lost his role. And there was about 24 games, I think, that he didn't even pitch in. He certainly wasn't going to be put in any meaningful games, just because not only did I not have confidence in him, but he didn't have confidence in himself. And we won the championship last year. I brought him back. I signed him again because of his attitude and his work ethic going back to last year when he wasn't getting time, and he knew he wasn't going to get time. And in this day and age when guys hold their, hang their heads, feel sorry for themselves, Brian just did whatever he had to do to help his team. And he came back a new man. And, he's the best relief pitcher in our league, and I can promise you we wouldn't be where we're at without him. So that is a great story within itself. How you deal with failure is ultimately how you're going to be successful. And he dealt with failure the right way. I'm in a position, with my catching situation. I've got two bona fide big-time catchers who defensively are the two best catchers in our league. And, to have them both on the same team, because in the years past, our catching situation league-wide wasn't very strong. And, so the two guys, Adam Gauthier and Hunter Wood that I have, it's been tough for those guys because they want to play every game. But, it's playing 3-4 games a week. It's kind of hard to do that. So I've kind of mixed and matched, if you will, and alternated these guys. And they've been professionals from day one, and they support each other, which is the sure big sign of a team. And those are a couple little stories just within themselves with three guys. And, some of my other guys, I could go on and on, but I have a clubhouse full of pros who just know how to do things the right way. And that's a testament to their parents and how they were raised. And, as a manager coming in, to the clubhouse every day, it's nice to know that I don't have to babysit guys. and these guys take the younger guys, as I said earlier, under their wings, and it's just it's fantastic. It's the epitome of a family in my mind.
Well, Chris, let me just say, Doc has called me useless before, too, so I've dealt with that. But all joking aside, on a serious note, what is it like being in the clubhouse and dealing with these guys when they're struggling, when they're going through a slump, and they're down and out? How do you elevate them to a higher level and uplift their spirits?
Well, that's a great question, and I think it's I think that's something that I think that's where a guy like me earns my money, and it because it's how you deal with people in general. And some guys need to get, they need to get, yelled at, if you will, and other guys need a little pat on the head and what have you. But you have to know which guys are which. And, I've gotten on some of the guys, where I just call it like it is and say, you know what, you got to figure this out. You got 2 more outings, otherwise I'm going to have to get rid of you. And I know you're better than this. And then I've got other guys where it's like, hey, relax. You're so talented that you're doubting yourself, and you kind of got to get into their mind a little bit, and I think that's what the good ones do. I hope I'm in that category. I take a lot of pride in my players, but I also take a lot of pride in knowing that they can come talk to me about anything, whether it's baseball related or family related. And I've had many of conversations on opposite ends of the spectrum, whether it's personally or professionally with these guys. But the fact that they can trust me and they feel like they can come talk to me is that's what makes everything so special. And those are the things that goes on that the fans don't see in closed doors. And I think thankfully my parents have raised me the way they have to put others first and realize, hey, we're all in this together. And at the end of the day, I'm the one doing the interview and I'm the one having the three-peat. But the reality is it goes back to my players. It always has, it always will. And they have really made me look good, and I couldn't be more appreciative of that.
Now, the way the playoffs are going to shake out, there's a quarterfinal game this Friday, a semifinal game this Saturday. Your squad will be in the championship game this upcoming Sunday, USPBL Championship. You can get tickets at USPBL.com. So what's going to go into your preparation as you await the winners of the playoffs?
Well, we've got practice today at 1:30. We're gonna go. We've got a couple guys that it would actually be their bullpen day, and because we don't play until Sunday, we're gonna have those guys throw live to our hitters, so our hitters can stay sharp. Anytime you can face live pitching, it's it's gonna benefit you. So we're gonna kind of treat it as if we still had as if it was a normal work week where we still have the games 3-4 days a week. And it'll be the same stuff tomorrow because guys will be scheduled to throw tomorrow and again on Thursday. So we're just gonna go about it that way. But we're gonna kind of just keep our routine the way it has been. Our routine has worked for us, as you guys know, in this game and in sports. Guys like to stick to their routines, and I'm a big supporter of that. I've got my own routine. I don't want to mess with it. So we're gonna kind of keep things status quo, but we will touch on some things that we maybe haven't in a while, maybe some PFPs, pitchers fielding practices. We'll get our guys going, as far as letting our outfielders, throw the ball a little bit from the outfield and put them in some game situations. That's the biggest thing. And then once we find out who we're playing, I'll do a lot of preparation that night, by myself and try to mix and match who I think we're going to have the best success with.
And Chris, I'll leave you with this. Year 3 of the United Shore Professional Baseball League has almost concluded. How far do you think the league has come through 3 years?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't want to overstep boundaries or think think for Andy, because Andy knows this better than anybody. But knowing what I know of independent leagues and how they've burned to the ground after some of them after 3 months, let alone 3 years. Where we're at right now is second to none. I mean, it is unbelievable, the atmosphere that Andy and Dana and his whole staff has created. Our marketing guys, Scotty McDonald, and Kate, are you kidding me? I mean, these guys, we're on ESPN. I mean, really? I mean, if that doesn't tell you how far we've come, I don't know if anything will. The quality of play, our first year, I mean, we were slaughtering teams. I mean, we beat them 21-4, 19-3. I mean, it was a bad product because, we were a last resort, if you will, and for players. And the quality of play the parity is unbelievable, and the games are competitive. They can go either way. My God, it could be somebody else giving the interview right now with you guys, because somebody else could have. There was 2 other teams vying for this, down to the last weekend. So you guys could have been interviewing 2 other guys. And so in my opinion, it's been fantastic. It's been probably better than what is expected. I know it's exceeded my expectations for sure. And it's a great environment, guys. If you haven't been out there, you got to, man. And championship weekend is as good as it gets.
Chris, with that being said, great stuff from you. Best of luck on Sunday as well, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you much.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the great work as always.
Awesome hearing that. We really appreciate it, and you too.
Thank you.
And back here on Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company, and that was Chris Newell, the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers in the United Shore Professional Baseball League, skippering the team for the 3rd straight season, 3 straight regular season titles, and going for back-to-back postseason championships in the USPBL. His squad, the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, once again playing on Sunday as part of championship weekend at Jimmy John's Field in downtown Utica.
And if you want to go, USPBL.com, a great place to go, Jimmy John's Field. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk Detroit Tigers second half of the podcast.
And Doc, as you know, one of our fine partners at the Detroit Sports Podcast Network is the Detroit Sports Commission. And since 2001, the DSC has been bringing tons and thousands of marquee events to our very region. That is the Metro Detroit area. And these have been national and international amateur sporting events and other sporting events that are the finest in all of the land. And to find out more about all the events they are bringing to our very region, once again, specifically the Metro Detroit area, please follow the Detroit Sports Commission on Twitter and on Instagram at DET Sports. And make sure to check out their terrific website at DetroitSports.org. And back here on Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company, I'm your host, Vito Chirco, alongside the Doc from Doc and Jack. That is John Charles Macaroon across from me inside the Sterling Heights studio on a Tuesday morning as we were recording this the day after Labor Day. And Doc, we look at the Tigers and what they did over the weekend against the Yankees, and they didn't look that bad, did they? Now, they lost Monday on Labor Day against the White Sox. Shane Green blew a game, I don't think recorded an out. Victor Martinez, though, had a big home run in the 9th inning. That was great to see from V-Mart. V-Mart had a fabulous Thursday last week. 2 home runs, 4 runs batted in, now has the most RBIs in Tigers franchise history for switch hitters as well. So Victor Martinez, big numbers, a big performance all weekend long in the Bronx against the Yankees. And on Monday as well, on Labor Day, hitting that home run, a clutch home run that you thought, will catapult the Tigers to a victory on Monday at Guaranteed Rate Field on the south side of Chicago. Didn't happen because of Greener, as people call him. Shane Green blowing a game on Monday. A game the Tigers could have, should have won, didn't, but at least they had a good performance over the weekend once again against a very good squad in the New York Yankees, Doc.
Really interesting series versus the Yankees. I had a chance to catch the majority of the game last Thursday, I believe the opening game of the series. I took my family out to Frankenmuth. We had a fun day at the pool. We come back, we get a chance to have dinner and settle in. And the Detroit Tigers, holy cow, Victor Martinez was hitting the baseball. Nico Goodrum back and forth, a ton of runs. It was an amazing contest and one in which it went back and forth. And it was great to see the Tigers win that opening game in that series. And then I believe the Tigers lost the next 2 games, Friday and Saturday. And what was tough was, of course, a game in the mix where you have the lead and the bullpen blows it. And it's unfortunate, when you have your players coming out and saying, look, I didn't do the job. Joe Jimenez, might have had a performance that he would have said, I would like to have back. But then on Sunday, you come out and again, you put the wood to the New York Yankees. And it's a series where they probably thought that they would take 3 out of 4. And when you come away with the split versus the Detroit Tigers, man, many fans were booing the Yankees. It was nice to hear. You got a chance to see Nico Goodrum, Victor Martinez, Victor Reyes hit home runs. The performance on Monday in a game where you're playing the Chicago White Sox, a team that you've had success against, you have the lead, you're winning, you're battling, and then Shane Green comes out and has that performance where he not only gives up the lead, that's tolerable, but when you give up the game-ending walk-off home run, it's just really devastating. And it's, right now we're in a period of time where we're evaluating these players. But all in all, it was a decent week, not one to really speak home about, but it's interesting now that the call-ups happened. Okay, Vito, tell everybody what happened September 1st. What does it mean when people say, quote-unquote, September call-ups?
Well, it's about these younger guys getting the chance to shine at the major league level. Some of them for the first time, as rosters expand to 40 men. You can call up more players, get some younger ball players, top prospects, middle-tier prospects, onto your major league club and see what they're made of in September. So that's the advantageous aspect of these September call-ups, like Joel Lugo, who was up, who had multiple 3-hit games in his first 4 games with the Tigers. So multiple 3-hit performances out of Lugo. I didn't see that coming. I was slamming him last week on Tiger Stock, wasn't I, Doc? I really was. I was giving it to him hard. If you want to say it like that, it kind of sounds dirty. I'll get my head out of the gutter, though, and just say that Joel Lugo did more than I thought he would. He really did. He outperformed my expectations. Now, a very small sample size. So let's not get too excited about his performance and say he's going to be the next great shortstop for the Detroit Tigers now all of a sudden, because he got called up because Jose Iglesias was placed on the 10-day DL. Iglesias out, Lugo getting more ABs and games to play in because of that fact. So we'll see as time goes on here in September if his performance does decline. Now, if it does tail off, well, I think I will be right, which I love to be right, that Joel Lugo really isn't the shiniest prospect in all the land and is a guy that's probably more of a utility guy more than a starting infielder every single day. And I think that's really is what Lugo's makeup is. It is of an infielder that is a utility guy, not a starting middle infielder. And I think we'll see that as time progresses more and more from Joel Lugo, Doc.
Anybody else that you're keeping an eye on? Anybody else that got called up that you'll be watching for in the coming weeks?
Well, Kristen Stewart, I think we're going to have to see what he's made of, and we will. We will watch him closely. He will get some ABs there in the corner outfield. I would imagine at DH spelling VMart here and there. And next year he could be the DH, or at least I think he will be a starting corner outfielder for the Tigers. And I think even come opening day of next season, Doc.
Okay, and you said Joel Lugo kind of has had a couple at-bats, has done some things. What does he bring to the table? I know you were a little bit critical earlier in the year. What do you think about him and what he can accomplish this month?
Well, I was critical because of the fact that he had a 600-something OPS, below 700 in AAA Toledo. It's not good. It's not good in the mustard seed. And when you see that out of a AAA player against AAA competition, it's not a good sign of what that guy can be at the major league level, hitting major league pitching. So I think he's going to be, at best case scenario, in his major league career, a quality utility guy that can play third, can play short, can play second. I don't see him being a starting infielder that is an impact infielder day in, day out.
Now, you saw with these call-ups, a bunch of arms are probably going to come up, and there was an article in the paper that one of the likely candidates to sit down is going to be Francisco Liriano. Do you see potentially any of the starters that are coming up having some impact? Anybody that you've seen that has a rocket arm or anybody that's impressive to you?
Matt Manning's been really good in the minors. It's about who's going to be called up. I mean, have there been names released already? Because I'm not sure of that, about who's going to be called up. So we'll see when we find that out, because Matt Manning has been an impact minor leaguer this year for the Tigers. Some of the other guys really just haven't performed as well as people thought they would. Like Casey Mize hasn't been lights out yet. He's not going to be called up. Alex Faedo hasn't been lights out. Franklin Perez, getting back from an injury, hasn't been lights out this season. So it's kind of bad, but true to say that, a lot of these Tigers arms that they're going to rely upon for future seasons haven't performed up to, major league standards or up to Tigers' expectations this season. And that's why you have to kind of tamper your expectations now for some of these guys. And it's really going to be about what they do in 2019 at this point. And they're not going to be called up, I think, to start the season next year because, as I already described, some of these guys have just not performed well enough, I think, to warrant consideration. Well, to be called up now specifically, but even come opening day of 2019, unless they have a terrific spring training.
Okay, understood. Now, Victor Reyes has taken advantage of the fact that he was a Rule 5 player, which means that this is a guy that's toiling away in someone else's minor league system. And Rule 5 was interesting to read about in that an organization can take advantage of it in what's called the Rule 5 draft. Now, a lot of players just kind of get drafted and they kind of fall by the wayside. A lot of players don't really succeed because what it is that it's a draft where players that are in the minors that are not really that successful can have an opportunity to get drafted by a major league club. And Lynn Henning did a decent job kind of explaining it, meaning that these are players that are likely minor leaguers. But if an organization has a maybe an eye for somebody, maybe somebody like a Victor Reyes who's like 6'5", 220 plus, has maybe a power bat, but hasn't been really given that opportunity at 23 years old, you can draft him in the Rule 5 draft, give him a chance to be with your organization for a year and see what happens to decide if you want to keep him. Victor Reyes has taken advantage of it, and he's come out and said, look, I want to be a power bat. He swung the bat amazingly. And in a season when there hasn't been many bright spots, the last week, Victor Reyes has, crunched some home runs and had some power at bats, and it's interesting to see.
Hit his first home run Sunday. After 181 straight at-bats without hitting a home run, hit his first major league homer in his third at-bat on Sunday against the Yankees, in the Bronx of all places. Now, easy to hit it there with that short right field porch and just short distances in general in the outfield. But still, impressive against the Bronx Bombers. Victor Reyes hits his first major league home run, a memorable home run for him, I would have to believe, one that he never forgets. And it was good to see the Tigers get that out of him because he hasn't shown much slugging prowess. He's a guy that has a bigger frame that you would think could develop into something that is a maybe one-day quality home run hitter or a guy that hits for a little bit of extra base power, but he hasn't showcased that to a full extent thus far this season. And that's why I think you still have to, question the fact about him being a major league player. I don't think he really is that. He hasn't showcased that to enough of an extent this season to say that he does warrant a major league roster spot come next season.
Now, here's something that was disappointing when I watched the Yankee series. Everybody was awaiting when Daniel Norris was going to return, what he would bring to the table. I think in his return versus the Yankees, he had 4 quality innings, did a decent job, but then I think he slipped, and many people were like, because he was taken right out of the game, and people were concerned, what's going to happen with Daniel Norris, a guy that, fought his way back into the rotation and got a start, but unfortunately, another situation where he couldn't go 7 innings strong, didn't really finish the game, and it's really scary to look at a situation where you got a guy like Daniel Norris full of potential, but unfortunately can't get on the field. And I hate to see that for somebody, especially when they're working hard trying to get back. But when you're injury prone and you can't be available, it really makes it tough to determine what you want to do with the guy because you'd hate for him to, be let go or traded and then have success and really find his way somewhere else. But right now, Daniel Norris is an enigma. What should we expect from this guy, and how sad was it to see him only go 4 innings and then get taken out of the game over the past weekend?
Highly disappointing. And what's his potential now? Has he flamed out already? He's still a young guy. He's like 25, my age. He's a young dude. I consider myself a young dude, right? We're both young guys, prospects on the rise. But he's not a prospect anymore. He's been in the majors for long enough to say that, well, this guy is going to be this or that. And I think it's more of he's going to be a bust than a guy that's going to show full potential as a frontline starting arm next season or sometime soon. I think maybe that has passed him by, his ability and chance to be a frontline starting arm, which people thought he would be that. Remember when they got him in the David Price deal? He looked like he was going to be a top of the rotation arm at first. He has slid off mightily. He had a bunch of quality starts, like 21 straight quality starts at one point made for the Tigers. He had that long of a streak, and since then he's tailed off mightily. His ERA has dipped hugely. And not just his ERA, but other young guys in the rotation, such as Michael Fulmer, most notably. And he's a guy to bring up who looked good Monday on Labor Day against the White Sox, but it was against the White Sox. Still good to see him bounce back, to throw 96, to hit that on the radar gun. He has good stuff, but you want to see that dominant, that sick, nasty stuff from Michael Fulmer on a every 5th day basis the rest of the way this season and next year. And Norris, same thing too, but Norris at this point, Doc, I think his days as a potential frontline starting arm have passed him by, and he might just be a long reliever at this point. Sad but true for the Tigers to have to accept that reality at this point in Norris's still relatively young major league career.
What's upcoming for this week for the Detroit Tigers? They finished out the series versus the Chicago White Sox, and then a weekend to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the 1968 championship team, I think, versus the Cardinals?
The St. Louis Cardinals, who they beat in 1968. They came back from like a 3-game-1 deficit and won that series in 7 games. Really darn impressive, wasn't it? Now, I don't think you were alive. You're old, but you weren't alive back then. I wasn't either. Way before my time, way before I was conceptualized and was a thought. for my parents. Anyways, should be a big series. I might be there Saturday night at the ballpark for that game, and I think it's Mickey Lolich bobblehead night on Saturday night at Comerica Park, too.
No, the bobblehead is
Friday?
featured. No, there's no bobblehead. I got the bobblehead. It's right here in the office. You can look right over there. What it is you get a replica 1968 road jersey on Saturday.
Lolich jersey, too?
No, not
There's
Lolich.
nothing Lolich.
It might be Lolich. You never know, but I think
Anyways,
it's a jersey.
yeah.
It's a jersey night, I believe Saturday, because I heard the commercial on the way into the recording.
Commemorating, though, the 50th anniversary of that 68 championship team.
Understood, man. It's going to be fun. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I believe, 3-game set versus the Houston Astros. Justin Verlander likely, I don't think, is going to start because there's some rumors. I think the way it might project is this Sunday might be a huge matchup. I think it's Justin Verlander versus Chris Sale, maybe on Sunday Night Baseball. Check it out. If I'm wrong, if it's not Verlander Sale, it might be Porcello versus Verlander Sunday night. It might shake out where there's a small chance he may pitch in Detroit, but I do think the media is going to want to talk to him on Monday. There's a small chance you and I can get out there, maybe get some clips and do some things, but it's going to be a big week for the Tigers as well, trying to ride out the season and evaluate these talented individuals. Anything else that caught your eye this week?
Well, you said talented individuals.
Yeah,
some of them are talented.
A lot of talented.
Yeah, I like how you're saying that.
Nick Castellanos.
Are you sucking up?
Nico Goodrum's been performing well.
Goodrum has. Castellanos. Victor Martinez, he might come back for another year with the Tigers. Sign him up for age 40, his age 40 season. He hit 295 in August. How about that? 295 was his batting average in August. His best mark for a month and a season since May of 2017. How about that? A little bit of Vito's notebook really quick here. 295 this past August. Now, last May, he hit 318 and recorded an OPS of 936. So this past August, his best month in a season since May of 2017. Wow. Pretty good from Victor Martinez. Nobody saw that coming. Maybe he's coming back for another season at age 40. We hope to God not, though. No offense to Victor Martinez. Great career with the Tigers, but we hope he's not coming back for age 40. Yes.
You can follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome. You can follow the network and our coverage of baseball at Detroit Podcast. Thanks to our sponsors of this podcast, allows us to broadcast each and every week. The Detroit Sports Commission, Podomatic. It's a great time to record podcasts. Everyone says podcasts are the future. We enjoy having the opportunity to talk a little baseball every single week, and always enjoy talking baseball with you. Thanks to Chris Newell. It'll be a fun time. Stay tuned. Next week, we will recap our experience going to the championship game, USPBL. Follow them on Twitter if you want to go to the game. Jimmy John's Field, USPBL.com for championship weekend. It is really a fun time, family atmosphere, affordable prices. Jimmy John's Field is immaculate, and I'm not just saying that because we work with the USPBL. I'm saying that because I've been there a handful of times, and my wife is excited to take the kids there. We'll share a funny story.
Oh, yes, taking the kids this time around, Doc. You're doing the right thing finally.
Involving the kids instead of just being selfish. We'll share that story next week as you guys rib me regarding DSP Appreciation Day. Oh, man, it's fun times. Always do talk baseball.
Great time to be alive, my man. You know what? Check out Championship Weekend at Jimmy John's Field for the USPBL all weekend long, Friday through Sunday once again at Jimmy John's Field in downtown Utica. We will be there Sunday, as Doc said, and adios for now.